Hello everybody, welcome back to another workout that you can do at home. Today we'll be doing an upper body seated workout. So all you'll need is a chair. I have some weights. You can also see that I have some objects that you can use around the house. So I have some water bottles and some cans as well. So I'll be going and transferring from one to another just to show the different objects that you can use. So starting off here with two dumbbells, leaning back in my chair, holding my arms at 90 degrees, extending up towards the ceiling, and then extending my legs as well. So here we're mostly working the shoulders as we press up towards the ceiling, but we're just keeping the lower body moving by extending the knees as well. Taking that breath in at the bottom of our motion, and then breathing out as our arms come up and our legs come out. So here, I just put the heavier weights down. I transfer to some water bottles that you can use, about a pound or so, 2 pounds, but just for something to hold more than anything. But similar motion. This time I'm just reaching out to shoulder height, keeping my arms straight, reaching out in front of me, and then again, just extending my legs, keeping the lower body moving as well, coordinating my arms and legs. So as my arms come up, my legs come out at the same time, and then they go down at the same time. So if you have trouble pressing over your head, you can skip that first shoulder press that I did and go right to this one. Then the next motion, just with my upper body, keeping my shoulders down and back, elbows tucked into my sides, curling the dumbbells or your water bottles up towards your shoulders, turning them at the top, and then having my palms facing down on the way down. So my palms are facing up as I curl up, and then I'm turning my wrist before I bend my elbow and holding my palms down on the way down. Next one here, switching over to some cans, holding my arms out parallel with the ground, and then pulling my elbows back, pinching and squeezing my shoulder blades on the way back, and then reaching forward. So definitely a bit of a harder exercise with this one. So definitely use your lighter weights if you have a couple different sets of weights. The cans here were actually perfect. Even some water bottles would work perfect as well. So pushing and pulling, keeping my chest up nice and high, using that backrest to lean on. And then next motion here, I think we go into a dumbbell row. So going back to the heavier weights, sitting at the edge of my seat. You can see there I just scooched up to the edge. And then with my elbows out, just pulling back and squeezing my shoulder blades at the top of the motion. Those are the muscles we're trying to work here, all those muscles surrounding our shoulder blades. So keeping those elbows out, roughly 90 degrees at the top of our motion. Breathing out as we pull back. I'm actually keeping my head down because we want to keep a neutral spine for this motion. So I wouldn't actually want to look up. I want to keep that head down to keep my spine nice and straight. Similar motion here. This time bending over, leaning forward just like our last motion, but this time the only difference is my elbows are tucked into their sides, to my sides. So pulling back, squeezing the shoulder blades again. Might find this one a little bit easier than the last one. So if you have some different weights, you could use your heavier weights for this motion. And just pulling those elbows back, give those shoulder blades a squeeze. Again, head staying down for the most part. Breathing out as those elbows come up. Back to the water bottles here, sitting back in my chair, leaning forward. This time keeping my shoulders down, elbows tucked into my sides. My upper arm stays perfectly still, just extending my lower arm. So from my elbow to my wrist, that's the only part that's moving. Shoulders stays locked into my sides, and then just extending, locking out my triceps to work my triceps as I straighten my arms. So another key here is just keeping those shoulders pulled down. We don't want them to come up towards our ears, so push those shoulders down, lock out those triceps, and you'll feel it in the back of your arms. Next motion here, just grabbing my heavier weights, putting them on my thighs, so not necessarily on my knees, but just a little bit higher up, And then I'm also pressing down into my thighs and bringing my heels up as high as I can. So this is going to work our calves, the back of our lower legs, and just going up onto my tippy toes. If you want to make it a little easier, you can do it without weights and just press down a little bit onto your thighs, or you can just not press as hard with your hands. So this one you'll definitely feel in your calves. Then our next motion here, you can either hold one dumbbell or the can that I'm holding or a water bottle. You could really do it with no weight too. So we're just leaning back, working our abs a little bit. So leaning back as far as I can. Right before I get to my backrest, I'm leaning back up and breathing out as I come up. So take that breath in as you lean back, breathe out as you come up. Just leaning back enough to feel a little bit of tension in our abs. And then if you go back a little bit too far, it's okay, because the backrest is there to help you. Then I'm just transferring into a sit-up with a little bit of a side turn with your torso. So I'm leaning back, turning to one side, coming up, and then leaning back, turning to the other side, and coming back up. So with the turn here, we're just engaging our obliques a little bit more. Same rules applied, breathing in on that way back, breathing out on the way up. Next here, leaning back as far as I can without touching my backrest, holding that position, and then just bringing my arms side to side. So here our abs are constantly under tension, probably the most difficult out of the 3 ab movements. Just bringing those arms side to side, holding that as long as I can. If you need to make it a little bit easier, just lean up a little bit further. And then if you want to make it a little more challenging, just lean back a little bit further. Next one here, working a bit of the upper thigh or hip flexors. So I'm just holding onto the sides of my chair, extending one leg, one at a time, then alternating, kind of holding it at the top, back and forth. Really feel this one in the top of your thigh. And then just speeding it up a little bit after that into some scissor kicks. And then keeping it interesting with just some over and unders, bringing one leg on top, one leg under, back and forth. But at this point, those legs will really be burning. And that is our last one. So if you want, you can repeat that whole circuit again, or you can swap out some of those exercises for some of your favorite exercises. But that concludes our upper body chair workout. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video.